Alright, so today we're going to be talking about a special car, my very own car. This is my 1997 BMW Z3 2.8 liter. We're going to talk about how the car drives, what I've done to it, and what it's personally done back to me, and everything else in between. So first things first, on my Z3, I put on different headlights just because I thought they matched the black paint really well. And also, talk about the elephant in the room here. Quite a big difference. I changed completely the front bumper. It was all aftermarket. It's modeled after the BMW 1M. So apart from the 1M bumper, I did other smaller things, like I just added the gloss black kidney grills to replace the chrome, because chrome doesn't really match the times, and I think it looks good all black in the front. Alright, so coming to the back of the car, this spoiler is actually an OEM option all the way in Germany. It wasn't offered here, but it was imported to be put on the car, so it really does flow well with the overall design. And moving down from the spoiler down to the bottom of the car, I did change out the exhaust for a little bit more girthier and beefier sound. It's got bigger pipes in the back. Oh, and also, I did change the license plate. So something important to mention about Z3s in general is that in the US, they were offered in 5 different engines. And this car is equipped with a 2.8 liter 6-cylinder. Now this is actually the engine just from the normal 3 Series of the same generation. But the Z3 was also offered in a 4-cylinder, which is the 1.9 liter, which is what you'll mostly see on the road, a 2.3 liter 6, 2.5, 2.8, 3.3 liter, and also the 3.2 liter M. Another important thing to mention about all Z3s is there's 2 different body types offered. The most common one you're going to see on the roads today are probably the convertibles like this. However, you might be able to catch a coupe Z3, or also known as a clown chute. They're a little bit more of a controversial design, but overall, they're still pretty cool. And now, with Jordan behind the camera and me driving, we're going to give it a drive.
Let's go. Fun fact about Z3s, don't pull on this. Why don't you pull on that, Joey?
Because it'll come off and cost you money to fix.
What? Have you ever seen it come off? Alrighty guys, so now that we're back inside the interior of the car, by the way, I haven't been seeing the video yet, I've been filming.
Yep.
But you know, that's because it's Joey's special day. It's his review today, so you know, props on that. But moving into the interior of the car, there's a couple things we want to talk about, some weird things that make the car kind of
small
unique.
Details in the interior,
as well as things that he's done to the car to kind of make it better, improve something, and etc.
Yeah.
Alright, so the first thing on the inside of this car that I want to bring attention to is that the way that BMW decided to implement and design the cup holders. So in their resting state, both cup holders are unseen and just kind of flush with the center console. Mm-hmm. But if you push on it, there's a little indent, and you push on it, the cup holder will flip.
It flips open.
Full 180 degrees and reveal the smallest cup holder ever.
Pretty much. You're not going to be able to fit much in there.
I mean, it has a little flip to hold a larger cup, yeah. And by large I mean like small. And now it's just in current American sizes, but
it's not very wide. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, and with not much grip on either side.
Yeah.
By the way, we're a cup holder channel now.
Yeah,
we review cup holders. Alright, so all jokes aside though, and then once the cup holder is flipped open, you just squeeze buttons that are nearby it, and then boom, it folds right back into its little home.
Another weird part of the interior is, if you'll notice, all of the climate vents, they're all one nice large size, all the way even down to the passenger side. But when you come to the driver's side, I mean, you get a tiny one. It will show it right now, but I think it's because it's combined with the headlight switch, which is also weird in its own right, but it is tiny and it really doesn't do much. It's funny how the passenger side gets a large one, but the driver doesn't. So I had mentioned the headlight switch earlier and how that's weird in its own right. So it's actually a circle that you pull towards you, which is weird. One pull and it turns on, you know, the parking lights and everything, and the second, your normal low beams. It's really weird because most cars you just have something you twist near the steering wheel, but they decided not to do that.
Yeah, it reminds me of a pinball machine. All right, so now that we are inside the car, Joey, I want to ask you a couple of questions. So, first of all, how do you like that exhaust?
Oh, that exhaust?
Because it's something that you did to it. How do you feel about it over time?
I feel like it's got a nice balanced sound. So like when I'm on the freeway and I can keep it nice and just consistent speed.
Yeah,
and
like right now.
It's not incredibly loud or anything.
All right, so this being a sports car, I'm interested. What's the power figure on this car?
So this car is really all about being light, kind of like its competition, the Miata.
And just under 3,000 pounds, by the way.
Yeah, and so the horsepower is 190 horsepower, which isn't a crazy, you know, too much. It's also 206 pound-feet of torque. But really, once you get into that power figure around 3,000 RPM, you can still get sent back, and it's still a lot of fun, even just because it's so freaking light.
So Joey,
what's up?
So you obviously like the car. You put your own touch into it, as well as fix some things along the way. But I want to know, and I'm sure other people do, why did you choose the BMW Z3 over the other competition? I'm talking about Miata, talking about S2000.
Yeah, similar roadsters
like
of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Z4.
overall, I was looking for a 2-seat rear-wheel drive classic roadster experience, and you know, I was really into the Miata, and honestly, I still am. I love those cars so much. But when I saw the price of this car specifically and the power it got from, you know, a 6-cylinder as opposed to a 4,
right,
I really liked the deal. To me, it's a little bit less reliable than a Miata overall, but it's more power, way more luxurious, more creature comforts in the car overall. It is harder to maintain, but it's around, and it's a little bit more expensive, but it's more power for around the same weight and just great handling overall. Very direct handling.
Right. And
kind of like the Miata.
Yeah, and I can attest for it as well. I've driven it, and I will later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, no, this car is a blast to drive. We used to have a 3rd gen MR2, and that's about the closest thing I've driven to this car.
Yeah.
And I can say this thing is by far much faster than it, and a more thrilling drive. The handling on the MR2 is amazing, and you know they're close, but I mean this car I would have it over the MR2 for sure. All right, so I wanted to ask you. So this car is a manual, and it's been over a year now of ownership of you daily driving a manual. And I'm curious, what is the manual experience in this car in comparison to other manuals that you've driven, and how does it compare?
It's actually really interesting. I've driven probably maybe like 9-10 other manuals overall, all sorts of cars from normal sedans to crazy Civics with different engines, and it's weird. So this car is meant to be half sports car, half cruiser, you know, a nice luxury experience while also having power to play with and have fun.
Right.
And so what it has in it is, it's called a clutch delay, where if I, for example, let off the clutch too soon and I don't have any, you know, enough RPM to get the car going, it'll have a delay in between it to actually smooth out the rough experience of shifting wrong or misshifting and stuff like that. Now, some people like this because A, it's actually really easy to learn manual on this car. This is the car I personally learned manual on. And B, it just makes everything a lot smoother to come in. I, at this point, after learning manual and driving the car for a while, actually don't like it. I want to figure out a way to get rid of it because it slow shifts. So when you're doing more straight line performance and you're in the middle of turns and stuff, your clutch shift will be a little bit more delayed than other cars that I've experienced and driven.
So it does make a
Right.
difference. But it's actually really good for first-time manual buyers, and it just another benefit of the car overall.
Right. So they purposely slow down your shift time in order to create a more luxurious and smoother experience.
Yes.
But at the cost of pretty much being able to drive it at its max performance capability.
Yeah, and it's not crazy noticeable, but driving other manuals, I notice it. If I hadn't driven a single other manual, I would have no idea about this, to be honest.
Right. Okay.
Part about buying this car and everything was actually, to be honest, the price I got and the deal I got for it. So I found this car in Sacramento off of a guy off of just Craigslist, I was looking for Z3s, Miatas, and sometimes I looked at S2000s, but we all know that's not what Craigslist is.
Yeah.
But I found it on Craigslist, and the guy actually had it listed for, to be honest, the right amount, or a lot of money. And it had 71,000 miles. It was in Sacramento, so I drove out to there and I took a look at it, and it needed work. It needed front struts, brakes all around, and a couple other small things that I ended up doing eventually. So I ended up actually getting it for $4,500 at 71,000 miles. And honestly, I thought that was a steal in general. That's how much a real nice, good-looking Miata would go for. So I spent the extra money that I had saved up to fix it right after, and now it's almost perfect at this point.
Right. Yeah. So, well, piggybacking off of what you just said, you mentioned that you had to replace the struts.
Yes.
What other things have you done maintenance-wise and just preventative maintenance-wise and fixing? What type of stuff have you done to this car? Things that are broken or whatnot?
Yeah, so overall, here's what I'll say about that. I'm surprised, and I hope I'm not jinxing anything at all in this video.
Knock on the real wood.
Yeah, for real. Mechanically, I mean, this car has been seriously reliable. I have had, although
Wait,
it's only...
Wait, what? It's been what?
Oh, nothing about that. No, it's only at 84,000 miles, so I'm not getting into the 100K even.
Right.
But overall, it's been really good to me. Now, here's what I can comment on. The quality has not been nearly as good as I expected this to be mechanically troubled and quality be okay. But luckily, it's only been quality. The only things I've had issues with are things that just wear with age. I feel like any other car could be the same way.
Right.
So, for example, the seats, these are actually newer seats that I put in from another car that had way less miles. The old seats, which I can show here, are actually ripped all over. And when you sit in them, I mean, it's just like a flat surface. There's nothing to cushion anything on.
The closest thing I could relate the previous seats that we had in here was, I mean, sitting at school and just one of those rock desks with no cushioning. That's kind of how it felt. And if you go on a road trip or go on a mountain drive, it's not fun.
It slides you around much more. But these seats are much better, so I'm glad I could figure out that.
Right.
In terms of other things I changed, like for reliability and stuff like that, I did do all 4 brakes when I first bought it, and the struts are an interesting situation. So the this Z3 with the larger engine, the 2.8, or any 6-cylinder, it's known for the struts to be pretty weak once you wear them out a lot. Because this car mainly was built on a 4-cylinder platform. It was made for the 4-cylinder because for the first year of the C3, there was only the 4-cylinder, you know? And so the struts on those were much weaker because it was just a smaller engine, so 1.9 liter, it didn't need to hold all of this weight behind it. However, when they started giving it beefier and more engines, BMW basically didn't upgrade the platform or the struts of the car. So they're known to go bad and crack, and you just gotta replace those if you're looking to buy one.
Right.
But yeah, I did the brakes, I put new tires on it recently, just very general stuff. It really hasn't been that big of an issue to maintain this car.
Right.
Which is nice.
Make sure not to pull on your door pull.
Oh,
Don't want to break it again.
wouldn't want to break it. What do you think of that clutch delay? Do you feel that at all? See how we bumped and then we stopped right away. It wasn't like the whole way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm shifting extremely slow.
Yeah, that's fair enough, right?
Because I'm not trying to make it a bumpy ride, but yeah, I mean, as far as what I can say, and if anybody who's interested in getting a manual car or getting a manual Z3 wants to know what it's like, I mean, you're the person who drives manual every day, and I'm the person who doesn't. And from my experience, I mean, I can drive manual to save my life, but it's nice. It works. the gear notches are the gear. Yeah, sorry.
It's good.
The gear notches are nice. They're easy to find.
Here, get on it in a second if you want, and then try and get in. Yeah, how does it feel for power delivery while you're getting into these kind of higher gears? Overall,
it's nice.
Yeah.
It's you never feel like you're going too slow, or there's not enough power. For sure. It's not overwhelming power. I mean, it's you know, it's still 200 horsepower right about. The handling to me is interesting.
It's very
Because
weird.
it's an older car. It's, you know, E36 generation, if you didn't know. And and I'm trying to describe the handling. It's very okay. One thing I will say is that as you turn the wheel, it is rather rubber bandy, if that makes sense. So the further you turn the wheel, sorry, I'm trying to concentrate on driving, but the further you turn the wheel, the more resistance it gives you,
Yeah.
and it does have quite a bit of snap back as you let go of the wheel and release it to let it rotate back into center, which is interesting. It's different than, you know, some other cars, especially some newer cars.
Yeah.
But it's nothing you can't get used to, and otherwise, I mean, for like what 23-year-old car, it's pretty. It's got good handling. You feel connected with the road, and I enjoy it for sure. Alrighty, guys, so that was our video on Joey's 97 Z3. Let us know if you guys liked it in the comments. If you didn't, tell us why you didn't like it, and we'll be back soon with hopefully more videos.
Yep.
All right,
See you guys.
catch you guys. Thanks for watching.
Up the poles.